Immersion is one of the most integral parts in making a video game both successful and popular. Visocci describes immersion as the suspension of disbelief and the willing to surrender to the pleasure of the story. If we look at role-playing games as a genre, many of their key components often enhance the immersion of a video game. There are many elements that go into making a video game immersive, but when talking about RPG games, the narrative arc, framework, and sound commonly work together to enhance it. Games that are able to encapsulate imagination to the point where there is a blurring of lines between real and fantasy worlds are at the heart of this, and are evident in games such as Fallout 4, Diablo 2, and Skyrim. As mentioned, an instrumental part of any effective gameplay experience is the telling of a story, a narrative. Visocci describes the narrative arc as the framework for the sequence of events that make up the plot we see and the story we imagine. In terms of this narrative framework, we can break it down into smaller fragments of things such as the story world, characters, narrative interface, and micro-narrative. In doing so, we can identify how each of these aspects has contributed through imaginative immersion in which the worlds, characters, and story elements allow us to empathize with characters. The aid of voiceover work is used heavily both in Fallout 4 and in Diablo 2 through the use of multiple characters, ensuring the audio is aligned with the visual aesthetics on screen.
What is hug? No matter. Strong and human have respect now.
Elder Scrolls Oblivion use particularly cinematic scenes that often start and finish integral moments in the game to greatly develop their story world, an environment within which the game unfolds. This is also evident in Diablo 2's opening cinematic scene, which reels users in via the evolution of the storyline. Firstly, it continues from the franchise's first game Diablo, whilst also establishing a new narrative. The advanced video aesthetics and effort to detail create an incredibly believable and realistic game world, immersing users before they've even begun playing. A big factor within RPG games that differentiates it with many other games is its specific level to detail in which the ambient music is used. The environmental sounds work to create an incredibly realistic game world, bringing a player into their game space and immersing them into the fictional world. Environmental sounds such as the pounding of rain and eerie wind are intertwined with a stormy atmos that reflects on the game's environment, which can be heard here in Diablo 2 and Fallout 4. These sounds help the audio-visual execution of the game, creating a believable and realistic game world, therefore encouraging a player to become immersed. As Collins says, any gamer today can tell you that most games are difficult to play without sound on. This quote is certainly evident in Fallout 4. For example, when a Deathclaw approaches, its large and quick footsteps are accompanied by increasingly large growl as they get closer to your avatar. This alerts the user to take control of the situation, react to the stimulus provided by the audio cues, and make a consequent decision. This becomes evident in the following video. Make sure to pay attention to when the Deathclaw first jumps down. You can hear its footsteps as well as an accompanying growl before the pursuing attack. Many RPG games have become synonymous with having such great music to the point where several orchestral games concerts have taken place in recent years. In fact, background music has become such a huge part of RPG video games that game soundtracks are now sold separately to the game, and the choice of certain scorers and artists can even attract music fans towards their game. Fallout 4 is no different, with music playing an absolutely pivotal role, providing a multitude of functions from its audio. From the symbolizing of special events like the moment you level up, to aiding in the whereabouts of a player in the game, music can even draw a player in emotionally. In games such as Diablo 2 and Oblivion, light and dark fantasy-driven music is often embedded into the soundtrack, encouraging a player to drift out of themselves and become fully immersed. Role-playing games are an incredibly valuable and enjoyable part of the wider video game community. They allow a multifaceted range of immersive traits to encapsulate an audience through such things as analytical framework, the narrative arc, the narrative framework, and the integration of ambient sounds and music. I have chosen but 3 games to display this in Fallout 4, Oblivion, and Diablo 2, There is a multitude of other RPG games to which these aspects are applicable. Conclusively, through such things as the detailed evolution and presentation of gaming worlds and storylines, and the elite production of music soundtracks, role-playing video games enable users to become incredibly immersed whilst playing.